Planning complete.
What up?
What's up?
Not much. I'm just flying on rotor heads. It's a fun server, but also very stressful.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be hopping down to the training room here shortly if I get anybody that wants to talk about the mission stuff. I'm on Germany. I'm on our modern Germany combat deal.
Oh yeah, I saw it, but I was just like, oh, it's Germany. I don't have it. And I have gone through my budget for DCS this month.
Yeah.
I've gone through mine for the year.
Yikes. Yeah. Well, actually, no, I'd say mine's is for the year as well because I bought a new PC.
Yeah.
Then again, I don't really see myself spending $4,000 on DCS, unless it's for like peripherals and stuff.
Yeah. I don't really have much left to buy anymore.
I'm just on the fence between Track IR or VR. I know a lot of people say VR is nice, it's great, and then a lot of people say, Track IR is a little bit better.
Well, I mean, but better in what context, though? It's kind of more of a personal thing. Like, I know plenty of guys that don't play multiplayer, that play single player, and they do things that Track IR is fine with, but then you get into a dogfight with a guy, Track IR versus VR, or air-to-air refueling. Like, I just feel like everything is easier in VR. You have depth, you know. When you look down at your gauges, the screen's not moving. You're moving your head and able to look at everything. It's just weird.
I think it's different. I don't think it's all personal preference for me, but I would prefer VR over a flat screen. You do have more depth with it, like Tech said.
Yeah.
I would say if I had more experience with VR, I think I would be more I'd be more willing.
Well, you gotta think none of us really had experience with it before we dove into it.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. When I say experience, I mean like used VR before.
Yeah.
I'd barely used VR beforehand, and I just happened to see, I think it was Assetto Corsica, whatever it is,
Corso?
the driving game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Assetto, yeah.
I tried that in VR before I tried DCS, and once I did DCS, I was like, all right, I'm not going back to anything now. I tried flying flat screen. It's just the ability to be able to turn your head without having to deal with a control button or something to move. Even though you can use Track IR, but I was like, I didn't have Track IR at the time, so I just happened to get my hands on the secondhand Rift, and it worked great.
Yeah. And that's the good thing is, like, if you're in a group like ours, a big group with a bunch of people, there's plenty of people to help you troubleshoot and get it running smoothly. So it's a little bit,
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit more friendly now versus like, yeah, if you just play single player and you don't have, you're not on the forums, you're not in a group with anybody to help you, it's a little bit tricky to get it set up. I think the only reason people say track IR is better than VR is, one, it's probably a little bit less trouble free and easier to set up. Two, you're right. Like if you have a high-end gaming monitor and your GPU is being used to render an image on that 4K monitor, it's going to look great in that monitor. But I tell you what, 90 frames in VR, it looks fucking great to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I run 72 with my Quest 3, and it's, I mean, yeah, it's not great, but it's a whole, to me, it's a whole lot better because you have depth.
Yeah. Like I'm going to tank right now, and it's so easy to be able to just hold your position and you look up. Like you're not trying to look up at a, you're not trying to get your head to look up and then you're still staring at a screen. You just look. Formation flying, dog fighting. If you're gonna just get an Apache and go sit in George in the front seat and sling targets through the TADs, I could see it. Or if you're just doing air to ground stuff, I could see it. But man, flying in a big group, flying the missions, formation flying, tanking, dog fighting, like everything is just, I feel like it's harder and harder to say that, to not suggest going into VR. Like I always tell everybody, VR's the way. But it's not for everybody. Some people get sick and can't get through it. Some people get sick for like a week. I mean, I was nauseous for like the first week or two. But after that, smooth sailing.
Yeah, I was the same way. I got sick for, I'd say after about 20-30 minutes, it's like, all right, I'm done. I can't do anymore.
Yeah.
And then as I progressed through, I was able to extend that time to where now, like I said, now I can fly a 2-hour, 3-hour mission and not have a problem.
Yeah.
Every now and then I will notice, like going through the mountains of like Kola or what's another, even the Caucasus, like low flying makes me a little nauseous, but it's
frame rate is a big deal. Like if you're in VR and you're at like 30 frames, you're gonna get a lot of eye strain. If you're in VR and you're getting like 60 frames, you should be fine. Even 50 frames isn't bad, but it also depends on your computer, depends on your settings. Like I get some guys that if they don't have a super, a really nice computer and they're working with like a 1080, Ti, I get it, because they're going to just be fighting to get good quality, and they're going to have to dumb their settings down quite a bit, versus they can run an old graphics card in 2D with track IR, get 120 frames, and stuff looks crispy. So I mean, it comes down to a lot of personal preference. It comes down to PC specs, like what do you have? Can you run it? Can you run the headset you got? Takes a little bit more to run the Pimax than it does the fucking Quest. But it's hard to get everybody else's opinions because it's always so, I don't remember the word, subjective or objective. It's so
I
like
think subjective.
Yeah. You'll get someone that has a Flintstone PC and they go out and buy a VR headset and their settings are terrible. They don't spend the time to tune and tweak and retweak when we get updates, and they'll tell you that VR is garbage, right? I'm like, VR is garbage, just stick to 2D. And I'm like, well, it depends. There's so much that goes into it. I will just say that if you got the PC to run it, you've got the help to get it set up, you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm waiting on my 5060 Ti to get here, but I mean, I've got my 3050 and I'm running 100 and something frames right now.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
So,
pretty good.
yeah. So I mean, I don't have. I have a like I'm running a. I know I'm kind of. I'm running a lot of PC, but I'm on a 4090. Got 90 or 64 gigabytes of DDR5, and I've got a 139KF i9. Like right now, I'm on Germany. There's a shit ton of SAMs on this map. Like I have a lot of assets on this map. I'm tanking. I'm locked in at 90 frames. Like it's pegged.
You
But
said 90 or 9?
90.
Okay.
But I had Hawkeye. Luckily, doesn't live far away. He came down for our little family get together, and I mean, he spent an hour and a half, 2 hours tweaking on everything for me. That's the only downside. Like I feel like Track IR, once you get everything installed and running and you get all your settings done, like there's not a whole lot left to do and updates don't really affect it. You could have, that's the downside with VR. Like everything's crispy, everything looks great, and then we'll get an update and everything goes to shit. And I gotta spend like a week retuning. But then again, that week of retuning pays off for until the next update because once you get it tuned properly and everything looks good, oh god, it's worth it. Like it's worth the hassle to me. It's worth the hassle. It's worth cursing DCS and VR and Pimax every now and then, you know, when shit's not working. But end of the day, it's worth it. The only difference I see with Crystal, like Pimax and Quest, is kind of like the micro movements and like say if someone records video, the Pimax seems a little bit smoother, but the Quest 3 and the Pimax Crystal Light, I think, is what almost everybody's running. Okay, am I just not in the fucking lights anymore? I'm trying to refuel and I'm not paying attention. Are we straightening out now, or what are we doing? Okay, there's the lights. Sorry, guys. I'm just sitting up here trying to tank.
You're fine. I'm working on a map right now.
oh god damn it.
Okay, let's straighten out. There we go.
Don't you just hate it when you're too fucking good?
At what?
So I've got a pretty good job right now doing billing and the occasional courier work for this one company. Make 9:30-ish, 10-ish. You know, I finish at 4. I let you just come in, do billing, help out with any other stuff around the office, and then I dip.
Not
But
bad.
I went and put in a application for a job at the hospital long ass fucking time ago for a fucking, I think it was an orderly position or some shit, and I went in to do the interview for it, and I felt like I did pretty good. And now they're like, hey, so we know you went for an orderly position. How about nursing aid position full time? And I'm like, son of a bitch.
Nice. Assuming that pays more.
No, it pays less actually.
Oh,
Well, no. It probably does pay more, or pays about the same that it would. Because right now the job I'm working at pays me $35 an hour, but I also have to take out my insurance. I also have to take out payroll tax. So I'll probably be looking at just under 2,000-ish a week or every 2,000-ish a month. I get paid every third Friday. So this one is, I make about 1,092 per week at 31.2 per hour. And I'm scheduled for a 35-hour work week. So I need to do the math for that right now. 35 at 31.2085. So what is it, a weekly pay or is it?
I'm not gonna lie, I miss getting paid weekly.
Shit.
You miss getting paid weekly?
I get paid when I book. I get a deposit when I book a dog. I get paid half when they drop off, and I get paid the other half when they pick up after 30 days.
So how long does it take for you to train a dog? And I know every dog is kind of different, but
they're not really. It's all the same training. It just depends on how food motivated the dog is. So I have so I have like 3 programs. My 30-day program is what I book the most. 30 days in, I get the dog trained enough to where the owners can take it home, and if they follow through with everything, the dog's fine. But then I also I let the clients know for 2 months after training, you can come back once a week and get one-on-one lessons that are more geared towards the owner. Or if I run into problems that I need to work on with the dog, like a dog that's overly easily distracted by other dogs, we'll work on more distraction training when they come back. But yeah, so roughly about 4 a month. It's not
okay.
terrible.
That's not too bad, I guess.
No, not at all.
I feel like I should have sent my dog to get trained, but she's a little pain in the ass.
It just helps because it's more consistent environment and it's training every day. I have the opportunity, like if I get the dog out, the dog doesn't want to work, I can put the dog up and try again later. It's hard for owners to be consistent. Also, too, like knowing the training, like knowing how to mark things properly where they're connecting the dots. Like you can get a book and follow the training and do it yourself pretty easily, but it's most people just can't be consistent enough at home.
Gotcha.
They'll train, they'll do like 2 or 3 days of training, and then life will happen, something will happen. I'll wait till tomorrow, then I'll wait the next day, and I'll wait the next day, and then they just end up tolerating behaviors instead of fixing them. Like I just turned a lady down. I had a lady email me. She's got a giant schnauzer, and I've trained plenty of giant schnauzers. And she's like, it's like 2-3 years old, but she took it to a trainer when it was, 6 months old, and they had it for 30 days, but it didn't listen, and they didn't really teach her anything or show her the training and whatnot. And so she went into a big story, and then her and her friends were training the dog for the last year and a half, and yada, yada, yada. Basically, the dog's been to trainers and been trained. The dog's been e-collar trained and listens when the e-collar's on, but then she has all these problems. And I'm like, it's you. You're the problem. The people, because the first thing I asked her, who trained the dog, and did they demonstrate that the dog knew the training before the dog went home? And she avoided the question completely. So I'm like, I can profile behavior after so many years of doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, this lady did not follow through. If she tells me that they didn't train the dog, but yet the dog listens when it's on an e-collar, I'm like, then it's you. They train the dog. You're not following through with what you're supposed to. You're not holding the dog accountable, and the dog's disobeying you, and it's being a dog. So why am I going to be the next line of trainer that you tell the next trainer when it all falls apart that, oh, well, I took my dog to this trainer and now this trainer and it still doesn't listen. And I'm like, it's you. It's you. You're not following through. You're not training the dog like you're supposed to. You're not treating, you're not keeping up with the obedience at home and the dog's regressing and then you're blaming it on the other trainers. Like, that's not anything I want to take part in because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to retrain the dog. And then you're not going to keep up with it. And then I'm just going to be the next one on that list saying, oh, well, I took it to him and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Same old shit. But I mean, that's one reason that I'll refuse a dog for training. If you tell me that you've been to a trainer and you've been doing this and it's not working, I'm like, it's you. It's you. Oh, now, take it, there are probably trainers out there that will take money and not actually train the dog, but that's a whole other story. You can pick up on what people tell you and you can pick up on the stories and be like, okay, I kind of know what's going on here, but I'm just, instead of calling you out on it and trying to book it and correct you, I'm just going to pass. I don't want to deal with it. My only bad review that I have is from someone that, took her dogs, booked them with another trainer, pulled them and canceled training with them, and then gave me a big story and ended up being terrible fucking aggressive dogs that I sent.
Yeah.
I sent her dog home. I'm like, I'm not fucking with your dog. I sent her dog home. It was aggressive. I couldn't get it out of a crate and she gave me a bad review. I'm like, the first thing I asked you, is your dog aggressive towards people? And you said no. And then after your dog's trying to eat me after it's been here for 48 hours, you tell me that it can't be handled by men. I'm like, that should have been the first thing you told me when I asked you. Come to find out, it's been at the vet, it's been at daycare, and it's attacked people. And so I sent the fucking dog home and I got a bad review. Da, 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 da. So, that's how it goes.
God damn it.
The reality though is, like, half the shit I train though, people can do it at home. It's just, one, they don't know, and two, they just don't stick with it. Like, they'll ask the dog to sit to go outside and the dog will like sit and break the sit and not listen, and then they just kind of give in and like, oh well, just go, and they let the dog out, and then that behavior persists.
Yeah, I'm in that, not that, I guess, column, but my dog, she's almost 7, and I just didn't have the energy after work to try to get her to train, or to train her, or the consistency.
Yeah.
Like after working 14 hours back, 5-6 years ago, like, you don't want to come home and take the dog for a walk. So it sucks for them.
Well, taking a dog for the walk doesn't actually train anything.
No, well, she's high, what I would consider high energy.
But
so
that stems, and mind me, this is just me talking. And I like explaining things so people understand why things happen. So people, it's very common, hey, my dog has to go out and be exercised. It's rambunctious because I don't exercise it. Well, to a certain extent, yeah, you can have a high drive dog, a high energy dog, but you have to teach them how to be content doing nothing. Yeah. Like, so that's why I do crate training and place training. So you put your dog on a place bed. I don't care if you're hyper. I don't care if you stand and stare at me for 3 hours, as long as you don't get off your place bed and you don't sit there and bark and whine.
Yeah.
You have to condition them to be calm and be content not being exercised or ran. And then when we take the dogs that aren't trained yet and we take them for walks all the time, we just teach them to pull a leash. We teach them to focus on the other dogs and bark at them or try and run after them. Like, it's not beneficial to take a dog for walks unless you teach it how to walk on a leash first. I mean, that's a good example. Like, who the fuck wants to go work all day and then have to train their dog? And that's one of my selling points. Like, look, you go and work all day. The last thing you want to do is come home every single day for a month and do a training session that you're not familiar with, you know, and then you're going to get inconsistent results with your dog. That's why I do board and train. I make my pricing somewhat cheap. That way a lot of people can afford it. And it's an easier decision. Like, I don't have time, but man, I can send it to him $1,500 compared to like $3 or $4 grand, and he'll get my dog trained up, and then I just have to listen and follow his advice, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's just teaching dogs how to be content not doing shit. When we leave our dogs out 24/7 and they follow us around the house, every time we sit down, they follow us and they're under our feet and we pet them, and then they walk off, and then we get up and they follow us again, or they jump on us. We condition that behavior. We're rewarding it. So like if I don't teach my dog to go in a crate, I don't teach my dog to place, and it follows me around every time I stop, I pet it. Every time I sit down, it jumps on me or touches me, I pet it. I'm stimulating the dog, and I'm enforcing that bad behavior. So then when I say, you know what, you keep following me around, you're getting into stuff, let me put you in your crate now at 8 months old and try and crate you, and the dog loses its shit and throws a horrendous fit, and they're like, oh, well, you can't be crated now, you got separation anxiety, so we can't go through with crate training. And they let their dog out and they never fix the problem, when in reality we create the separation anxiety, we enforce it, and then we don't condition the dog out of it, and we just kind of deal with it. But end of the day, I'll tell you, like my clients, it's all about what you're willing to tolerate, because it's your dog, it's your house.
Yeah.
So I teach every dog the same obedience that they come in, and it's up to the owners to keep up with what they want to keep up with. What up, Gadget?
I get that.
Yo.
Are you coming in here to fight?
Huh? Me?
I'm on Germany.
Oh, no, I'm playing Doom.
Okay.
I thought you were going to do some map training, so I was going to just listen in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm here if guys have any questions. I was kind of hoping Marilyn would show up, because he says he's got missions, so I just want to talk to him about it first. Because you know how it goes. Someone's like, I have a big elaborate mission, and then we throw it on the server and everybody hops on and it's a fucking train wreck.
Yep, every time.
That's why I'm even scared to say, hey, Tex, look at this for me.
Well, no, that's fine. I don't mind looking at stuff, and I don't mind guys, like Beetle and Crow will pick my brain all the time. So that's kind of what I'm doing this for. I'm like, I'm here. If guys have questions, they want to talk about mission making, they want to ask me, what do you do to make a mission for 20 or 30 people? Because usually the more elaborate and the more scripting and the more stuff you do in the mission usually fucks it up even more. It's kind of like, keep it simple, keep it stupid. You have to think about all kinds of things that you have to prevent from happening, and what could go wrong, what could someone do. So that's kind of, I'm all for creative freedom, but I have some things that I like to go over for people to keep in mind, like cold start.
Common mistakes.
Yeah, fuck cold starting aircraft for a 30 pilot mission. It's not. There's no point to it.
What, you don't want to be like the Spud Knocker?
No.
Or whatever's Spud's Bud now, or whatever his name is?
No, thank you. Oh, did he change his name?
Yeah, it's not Spud Knocker anymore. It's I think it's Spud's Bud.
Yeah, nothing against those guys. They all do their own thing. But like, helicopters flying 80 clicks to a target, and then there's no FARP, there's nowhere to rearm, there's nowhere to refuel. We get shot down, and then we gotta. I'm like, if you made me fly 80 clicks in a fucking helicopter and I get shot down immediately, I'm not respawning. I'm done for the night.
Flying 80 clicks in an airplane will piss you off, especially getting knocked down a couple times.
To an extent, like so depending on what we're doing, like the seed guys, I try and keep them less than 100 miles. Strike guys may be anywhere from 50 to 150. Because it's a strike. It's, not, I always say this, like, I don't want my guys to just get fucked up the whole mission. I want them to be able to to complete the mission. So there's a lot that goes into that, though. Just like the helicopter write-up I made, that's very useful information. Now, it's lacking a lot, but it's very useful. What is transmitting?
My 2 cents is, like, people must understand that this group and the missions that we run, it's basically a new mission every time. It's not like we spend weeks and weeks planning and getting a mission up and running and run it once or twice. And, you know, like a campaign, like some of these Molson guys, you know, your missions are it's simple, but it's effective and it works, and you're able to churn those out like one a week at least, you know.
Well, and that's the thing, is you get faster at it the more you do it. And so, like, I mean, me, it's always like there's a process. Why are we, hold on, what was, okay. So if you break it down with the fixed wings, there's only so many options. It's the same options every time. You got air to air, you got air to ground. So how am I going to make the same type of mission strike package over and over and over and make it change it up a little bit each time? You know, I mean, you're taking off from airport, you got bombs, and also too, so if, say you have like 6 of your buddies and they're all highly skilled, you can make certain missions that they're going to be fine in. Like, hey, there's no waypoints. You got to make your own waypoints. You got to do this. You got to ILS land. You got to land in bad weather, wind, whatever. Sure. But when you have 20, like just specifically looking at our group, when you have 20 people to 25 people signed up for Friday night, you have guys from all different backgrounds and all different skill sets and experience. Like, you got guys that have been flying since DCS started. You got guys that have been in a month. Your mission has to have roles for all those guys. So, this strike might be simple for this DCS veteran, but the new guy flying in formation or trying to with like 3 or 4 other veterans going on the strike mission, it's a big deal to him. But everybody on the flight, I theoretically should be able to complete the mission. So that's why we ask guys, hey, it doesn't matter if you're new or experienced, take on roles and take on aircraft that you're comfortable in and know the basic minimums, like how to operate the radio, how to navigate in it. Like me, I fly the 16. I've flown it from the beginning. I don't even remember how to do laser guided bombs. So I couldn't tell you. I know how to drop JDAMs. So if I get an air to ground mission and they're like, hey, the only thing you can use is laser guided, I'm going to pick something else that mission. But I'm going to make a strike mission where, hey, you can use JDAMs. JDAMs will work. You have waypoints. If you want to take lasers, you can. Or I'll be like, hey, don't take Mavericks. That was one of the things in the beginning. All the guys wanting to run Mavericks in my missions, and then they just get fucking hammered. Because they go in low and they get shot down. Yeah. But with my missions for the group, you have to sacrifice some realism sometimes in order for the mission to actually work for the group. You know,
well, and like you said, it's we all work, so this is us having fun.
Yes,
it's got to be fun for everybody too. I get that.
I always keep in the back of my mind, okay, so we're running a Friday night mission or even a Wednesday night OG mission. I'm like, I want to make this fun. I want it to be at least an hour and a half minimum. Most of my missions are about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. But some of the stuff wraps up in about an hour and a half. So I got to make it to where everybody can fly this mission. Like, any skill level can hop in. There's a role for them. And I want to make it fun. So essentially, I break it down into multiple parts. So I'm going to have helicopters because we have a mixed group. So I'm going to have my helicopter operations. And with helicopter operations, I can include fixed wing to a certain extent. Usually in close air support, or calling in airstrikes. We've found doing AFAC stuff is extremely difficult. So if I'm sitting in a Kiowa and I'm calling in strikes and I'm trying to get guys to find lasers, laser spot track, and like fly over the area and It doesn't work. It doesn't work with a bunch of people. It works small scale, but what I will do is, okay, so I'm going to do forward air control and I'm going to call in airstrikes. Well, let me go ahead and just put a strike flight down, and I'm going to put their waypoints on these targets that I'm going to call in, to where I can call in strikes on waypoints. Now, that's not super realistic as far as stuff that's happened during war, like the Kiowas and shit. But if I get 2 or 3 guys that are in Vipers and Hornets and they're not super great, some of them, and I say, hey, you're going to need to stay out of the AO, go to the tanker, and I've got 8 waypoints that I'm going to scout out. And when I find targets, I'm going to call you guys in, and you guys have the exact same correlating waypoints. So I can laze, or I don't have to laze, but I can laze, let the guy find the target with spot track, and then I can unlaze. But either way, I'm not going to get stuck with one pilot for half an hour because he can't get his laser spot track to work, or it won't find it. He can't find the target, or whatever. I've got to think of how to keep the mission going. So that's another, and I'll bounce around because I'm ADHD. That's another point that I make is, don't have guys sitting around doing nothing for too long. Like, I don't want to sit on the boat on the catapult for 15 minutes waiting for, you know, bad guys to pop up. I might make them wait 5 minutes, but I don't want them sitting there for very long. If you got guys and you're doing a forward air control and you're calling in guys on waypoints, it runs smoothly. You can get all the waypoints taken out in a decent amount of time, and you're not dealing with lost pilots, lost targets. You know, some of it's not easy to sit there and find from the air. You know, there's that whole helicopter deal that I wrote up, and it talks about things like putting in FARPs and refuel points at certain points for certain types of convoys. You kind of just always got to think, okay, what can go wrong? How can I make this mission to where everybody can fly it and be successful? You know, I do all the, I in the mission editor, I put all the waypoints in. I make sure the waypoints are grounded out if they're on target. So guys will put a waypoint over a ground target and they forget to take the altitude of the waypoint to 0, right?
Yep.
Or they'll put say the target's at 1,000 foot of elevation, they'll put the waypoint down, and then they'll go to another waypoint where it's at 50 feet of elevation. Well, the waypoint is going to be the same of wherever you put the last one. So you have to check every single waypoint and zero them out if they're target waypoints. You have to make sure that the waypoints are on the targets. You know, there's just all kinds of things. So so we go back. I'm circling back. We do helicopters. We're going to have some type of short distance siege/strike that's going to be 100 miles or less. We're going to have on our strikes waypointed targets that they can use JDAMs or laser guided. And that's not going into other mission types like convoy hunts and stuff like that. But you got to think about this. So, okay, I have a city that's defended by SAM sites. I have guys sign up for seed. Am I going to put my strike package being delivered into that same area? Because what happens if the seed guys are not successful, then your strike guys are sitting there flying in circles while the 2 seed Vipers have to fly back, rearm, refuel, and then get back to the AO, get the SAM sites knocked down. So that's stuff that you kind of got to consider. So what happens if I have four ship flight of Hornets waiting to drop bombs? I've got 2 Vipers doing seed and they miss. I put in an SA-10. They can't get the SA-10 knocked down with 2 harms. You know, so then they're going back to base, rearming, refueling. So I go, okay, I've only got 2 seed Vipers. They're flying 100 miles, so they're going to have wing tanks. They're only going to take 2 harms apiece, so I have 4 harms on one trip. Let me do these SAM sites. Don't let me put in a SA-10 that's going to be a handful to take out, and they might fuck it up and miss or get their harm shot down. They're RTB, and then your strike package is stuck. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I would do is say I have a city and my targets are in the middle. Before the city, I'm gonna have three SAM sites, and on the middle one that's blocking the targets, I'm gonna put a SAM site that I know anybody that's flown the Viper for any amount of time can take out. That's what I'll do. Waypoint 1 for the seed guys will be on that center SAM site, and it's going to be like an SA6 or an SA2 or like an SA6 with a SA19 with it. So you got two guys, they both can get a harm off, and then they both have 2 extra harms in case they miss. Or if it's an SA15, one of them gets shot down. But those 2 guys have a high probability of opening that door on that central SAM site to where the strike package can go through. And then my seed guys have 2 other SAM sites that they can continue fighting, and their mission's not just over and done with for the night. You know? So that's kind of stuff you got to think about. Just random shit like that. So what am I going to do in my mission, and what could possibly hold up the entire mission? And how do I make that to where they can work around it if that fails? What are the backups for my backups? You know? So there's a lot to take in consideration when you're making a mission for a bunch of fucking people. So then you have, do we have carrier ops? How far away is the carrier? Do I make 4 ship flights, or do I make 2 ship flights? Sometimes I'll make 2 ship flights and put everybody in pairs, and it works great. And then sometimes I'll be like, all right, well, everybody's in one flight, and we'll put 8 Hornets together in one flight, and it's a cluster. Or I'm doing a convoy. So this happened to me a couple missions ago. I had overwhelming sign up for helicopter stuff, and so we do a convoy, and we got 6 helicopters flying around the convoy, and everybody's just flying into each other, shooting each other on accident. It's just too much. So now I gotta split it. So that's why the sign up during the week is very important. If I only get 4 guys sign up for helicopter ops Monday through Thursday, I'm going to build a small mission, and then Friday rolls around, I get 15 dudes sign up to want to fly helicopters. I'm like, fuck. Okay, now I got to split the mission up, or do I make it all in one? Then I don't have enough targets, and it's a clusterfuck. And that's not even getting into pairing people up. You fly and have guys fly with other guys, and you kind of got to assess, who can I pair up? Who do I not want to pair up together? Because not everybody gets along, right? So that becomes an issue. So yeah, it's not as easy as it seems. And I think what's funny is the funniest shit, and it's not even mission making related, it's watching the guys give their very first briefing. And it's like herding fucking cats, and I am in there being the most disruptive fucking person. I'm gonna ask you for I'm gonna give you a hard fucking time on your first briefing, because that was what was funny with Beetle for the longest time. Like, Beetle's such a nice guy, and he's made a lot of briefings, and he flew with us a long time before he made a mission. And when he gave his first mission, he's like, bro, I'm like, yeah, like, you see, giving the briefing is the hardest fucking part. It's like wrangling cats. And so, like, you're trying to give a briefing, and everybody's asking you questions in the middle of it. So that's what I'll say. If you're going to make missions, and when you do your briefing, just control the room. Don't be afraid to speak up and tell the guys to be quiet. Let me get through the briefing. One thing I've found that helps is telling them, look, if you have a question, write it down, hold your question till the end. Because majority of the questions that are going to get asked mid-briefing are usually answered in the briefing if you do a good enough job on the briefing. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're making a mission, is make your briefings clear and simple to where they're not overwhelming. Like, if you send me a notepad and there's a novel on it, I'm going to be less likely to read it. But if it's a short, to the point, go here, do this, and this, it's going to work out well. So with mission making, make sure that you can give a good briefing, produce a good briefing. Knee boards. Everybody has cell phones. Everybody has a notepad on your cell phone. So make your knee boards for your mission and post them. Make sure that guys have access to them. That helps you from getting asked questions mid-mission, like where do I go? What waypoint am I supposed to hit? What are my comms? So that's something I always do. When I make a mission, I go in and I label everything. Labeling is one of the biggest things you can do. Label your flights, label your ground units like ambushes, and you can always use numbers and words. So if I'm going to say, hey, this is US Convoy 1 and it's going to drive this route, I'm going to set up an ambush, right? I'll do 001 ambush 1-1. And then I'll put that group down. And then if I copy and paste, it'll be 001 ambush-2, ambush-3. See, it's all sequential. So I say, okay, my first ambush, I have 10 groups. Ambush 001, ambush 1 through 10. So I have all those groups. I put them on ambush, late activation. And when I'm going into my actions and triggers, it's easy because everything is labeled. Part of group in zone, US Convoy. Group activate, ambush 001, ambush 1, and then clone, ambush 2, clone, ambush 3, clone, ambush 4, and so on. So that's why labeling becomes really important, and especially if you start using flags. So when you use flags to trigger stuff, you have to remember what flags you used, you have to remember to turn them off. So for me, like I'm working on Friday night's mission where there's a ground convoy full of tanks and all kinds of shit that someone will drive. I have a stopping point. So they're driving down the route. They're going along their waypoints. They get to waypoint 1 and there's a FARP and I need them to stop. And so I put a zone down. Part of group in zone, add radio item for group. And then I label the radio item, group or stop 1, hold off. And then I put it on flag 1. So when I go to the convoy and I click on the waypoint and I go into advanced waypoint actions, I have a hold tasking for the convoy. So the convoy gets that waypoint and it holds. And then under stop condition, I put the flag that I added to the group. So when the group gets there, that pops up in their comms menu. They go to /menu, other, there it is, waypoint 1, hold off. So when they click it, it turns the flag on and that stops the hold and the convoy moves forward and goes on. So I have to remember, I put right outside of that waypoint, I put another zone. Part of group and zone, remove radio item, and then I label the radio item that I put, stop, hold 1, off, yada, yada, and then flag 1 off. So when they drive through the next zone, they turn the flag off, they remove the old radio item, and then when they get to the next stopping point, it's the same thing over. The next stopping point, they go into a zone, it adds the radio item, it re-adds the flag, and they're stopped, and then when they're ready, they can go on. So like me, I'll have stopping points where they're going to get ambushed. So convoy's driving along, they hit a stopping point, when the convoy enters that zone and does all the other stuff, well, I also set it to group activate the ambushes. So convoy gets ambushed, they can retaliate because they're immortal, I'm not making them die, and they can call in airstrikes. So making a point like that, thing about it like this though is something you have to keep in mind is I have helicopters that have AI gunners. I tell you what, I hate it when we're flying in a convoy, we're following the ground units and someone's like, I got an infantry guy 10 clicks ahead of me. And, nothing against in single player, but they're looking at the George Sheet list of targets ahead of them. And I'm like, there's no way you can see that. So if you can't physically see it, I don't want to get it called out. Like, I don't want George to see the ambush ahead. So that's why certain ambushes I will late activation and have them spawn in when the convoy gets there or the flight gets there. That way, guys with AI gunners and stuff aren't spotting targets and slinging missiles well ahead of the convoy. That's one of those points where you sacrifice realism for gameplay. Yeah. How fun is it to sit in a convoy, combined arms convoy, and have the Apaches kill everything in front of you, and you never take a shot, you never get ambushed? So,
not fun.
Yeah, so then you think about it, okay, well, if I'm going to have 4 Apaches, I'm going to put 2 to stay with the convoy and do run and gun targets. This is kind of getting into that PDF file that I made. So the run and gun targets are a little different. You don't need Hellfires for them. And then I'm going to send 2 other Apaches ahead of the convoy, and I'm going to specifically put down targets for those guys. And they're going to clear the road ahead of us, but they're not going to see the ambush targets because those are going to be late activation. So it's like, okay, how do I keep all these guys busy, but they don't ruin the mission for each other? You know? So
okay, so all right, quick question on like an ambush. Like, how do you decide on where, like for a helicopter, where a trigger point would be when you're not going to be in control of that helicopter per se?
What do you do? Sense? What now?
So, like, say you have a like a convoy that's going through a road. How would you set up a ambush for like the helicopters? Where would you place the trigger, or how would you know where to place the trigger?
So, man, does
that make sense?
Yeah. So it's kind of like when you stare at a map, you're looking at, okay, where do I start? Where do I do this? I look for good roads that have good line of sight. And I think, okay, is this going to be easy for the CAS aircraft to find? The guys in the convoy, are they going to be able to see it? So, like, you can also probably eventually download some of my missions and look at the stuff on Mission Editor. But okay, I got a highway. It's an empty road. There's fields on both sides of us. I'm not necessarily going to put an ambush in the middle of a bunch of buildings, right? Because then you have to worry about line of sight. So say I've got a road and there's not much around it. Then you have a village ahead of it, right? Okay, well, just think about real life shit. Are they going to ambush the guys like in the middle of nowhere, or are they going to find a choke point? They're going to find an intersection. So I want to say, okay, where can I put this ambush? That way, the guys have clear line of sight to shoot back. So here's a village. It's on both sides of the roads. I'm going to put the trigger point just inside the kill zone. So like if I put a couple of technicals down at the that are going to spawn in on the roadway at the very beginning of the village, I'm going to look and see how far out their range is. And it just depends on what we're doing. Are we stopping, or are we going to shoot and push through? So if I've got guys like, say, Fox Hunter, and there's 3 or 4 of us in combined arms vehicles, I'm going to have the convoy sometimes get engaged and stop, and then that way they can spread out. And say if Fox Hunter is in a ATGM Humvee, I want to place the ambush in places where he can get a line of sight and send missiles, right? If I'm doing, hey, the convoy's not going to stop, the convoy's going to push through and keep going, you can do it more in the urban area where they're next to the road, they're down the alleys. But it's honestly, it's from watching videos and documentaries and then staring at the map and saying, what's a good location? And it's just look at the fucking map. I like if we're doing convoys where guys are driving and we're following them, I like to make it on bigger roads where they can drive faster. I don't want to put it on a single little dirt road where they're gonna be limited to 2 miles an hour, right? If I have a long convoy with like 10 vehicles, I don't want a bunch of turns. I want to keep them just on a straight line for the majority, because when you start putting in a bunch of turns where they slow down and turn right, turn left, it's 90 degrees, the whole thing just slows down. It takes them a long time to get all those vehicles to turn. So it's kind of just using your judgment. Look for places, like you've watched military documentaries, you've seen IEDs and ambushes and stuff. You kind of just shop around. Let me find a good location. What looks good for an ambush? what type of ambush am I doing? Are they going to push through it, or are they going to stop? If they stop and say a roadblock spawns in with a T-55, right? I want the convoy to stop just outside of range, and sometimes I'll put like some of the units on fire at point to where the convoy stopped. They're not going to be getting shot at, but you're going to mimic the bad guys shooting at them by doing firing at point. And essentially they're just firing towards something, right? So you're not, your guys aren't getting all shot up. You know, put an IED right before a bridge. Find choke points with different urban areas. You know, make a put a car next to the fucking bridge entrance and have the car blow up when they get to it, and then your ambush goes. So it's kind of like if you break it down into two different ambushes: a rolling ambush where you're going to keep going, or you're going to stop. You got to think, okay, if we're stopping, I need line of sight. If we're getting shot at, we're running and gunning. Line of sight doesn't matter too much. You can put guys behind dumpsters, all in the urban area. It really doesn't matter. And now I'm getting kind of fucking ADHD. So, do you have any more on that question that I didn't answer? If you do,
oh no, you're fine.
No, tell me, because sometimes I get a little sidetracked and start rambling.
No, because I mean, the mission that I've been working on for a couple days now, it's very seed heavy, but because I'm trying to integrate a IAD system. But anyway, so I have a high value target that has a convoy from one international airport to one of the smaller ones. It's only, was it 10 miles?
Right.
So I was asking for like the helicopters because it's gonna, and the hogs, because it's gonna be more of a, not a search and destroy, but if they can find the convoy, they can destroy it. But I want to add a little bit more, not flare, but make it a little bit harder to where they get fired back at certain points. Does that make sense?
Yes. So with shooting at helicopters, you have to keep in mind you can't overpower the helicopters. So if I have an airfield, right? So let's just break down the Apache, for example. I'm going to run the Apache two different ways. I'm going to run the Apache from a tactical standpoint where, hey, there's an airfield or there's known targets of heavy armor, shore red, seed, or, you know, SAMs, whatever. If I'm slinging Hellfires from a tactical position, meaning you're putting your Apaches to a waypoint where they can stop at, they're outside of the kill zone, but they're within ballistic range of Hellfires. They're going to go into a hover and they're going to sling Hellfires in a tactical way, right? So you can up the ante on the targets. You can put tanks, you know, you can put shore rad and SAMs to where they know, okay, I got to stay out 6.5 clicks. I got to stay out this far. I can sit here. I can sling Hellfires, or I can have a Kiowa up ahead, masked and lasing for me. But if I'm doing a rolling convoy like an ambush, I'm not going to have my helicopters ambushed by heavy guns. No AAA, no tanks, technicals at the most, small arms fire, even on the Apaches, because you're just going to get your guys slaughtered. So say I have the two airfields and you have Apaches hunting the convoy and you have fixed wings doing seed, correct? It's kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, so I've got, well, it's there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot. It's overwhelming me as a person that hasn't done a big mission like this. You've got fixed wings doing seed, possible, not anti-shipping, but there's a bunch of ground targets at two different airports. And then the helicopters kind of doing a little bit of seed, but also clearing out one of the airports as well, if not both airports.
Okay. So ideally, you want to make it to where your Apaches can actually get in there and do the job. So
yeah, I've got them sitting at a far, it's about 9 miles away.
Okay. And so also too, for future reference, when we talk, helicopters use kilometers. because all the
Okay.
helicopters are set up on clicks. Not saying
Gotcha.
that you're wrong, but when I'm judging distance on DCS for helos, it's fucking weird. But I'm so used to clicks, and
Yeah, you're fine.
I can't do the conversion in my head. But that's not bad. 9 miles is probably what, 20 clicks, 15 clicks or so.
17.
Okay, 17 clicks. 17 clicks is
then-
not bad. So, but what you want though is if you're going to be careful, because sign up will have an effect too. If you want to be able to run the mission, if you don't get a shit ton of guys, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna really think about what kind of SAM sites that they're gonna fight. If they're gonna be fighting SA-15s, SA-15s can shoot down Harms and Hellfires. So is that gonna be super productive for mission progress and keep the flow going if all my seed guys are just getting their stuff shot down? So think about your targets, and then one thing I don't use, like if I have helicopters going into an airfield to clear out targets, like I'm not putting the KS-19 fucking AAA that can hit you at 10 clicks out, if my Apaches and my seed guys are going to play an important role, you want to make it to where they can actually hit the targets that you put out there and not just get slaughtered. So what I would do is I would have so I have 2 airports. Say the eastern airport has a SA-2 site on it, and then it has a SA-19 and a SA-9 and some tanks and AAA. Have your fixed wing guys going in and targeting the SA-2 site, and then once it's down, have them move to the next airfield to target another big SAM site, and have your Apaches going in and targeting the SHORAD and the other ground units.
Okay, perfect.
So you can do that. That gives both parties something to do. You can always just have the Apache guys cleaning up the airfield outside of the seed. So if you have a mixture of tanks and AAA, I'll tell the Apaches, okay, your first priority is hitting the AAA sites while the fixed wings are knocking out the SAM and SHORAD units. But you kind of think of, okay, you got to think of distances. How long is it going to take the fixed wings to get here versus how long will it take the Apaches to get there? If you put the fixed wings 50 miles away and put the Apaches 40 miles away, the Apaches are going to get there at the end of the mission, So that's something you got to keep in mind too, is timing the whole mission. So that's not a bad mission idea though, so you just work one, you have the fixed wings go to airfield A first and then transition to airfield B, have your Apaches go into airfield A after the fixed wings and so on. But you got to think, okay, you have to be detailed in your briefing. Look, Apaches, these are your targets. This is what you're shooting at. Don't shoot at the big SAM site. Because then the Apaches go in there, they shoot out the SA-2 site, and your seed guys get there, and there's nothing for them to do. Your fixed wing guys, right?
Yeah.
So that's something to consider with missions too. Do I have these aircraft work together in a joint mission, or do I have them all work separately? Yeah. And if I have them work separately, can I set it up to where it looks like they're all working together for the same goal, but it's really 3 different missions kind of close to the same area, Yeah. But yeah, it's hard. Go ahead.
I think I have it now to where once all the Red Coalition is cleared out of the air base, we should capture it, so then that way we can land and refuel and take off again.
Yes. So with that being said, though, you want to make sure you don't overwhelm the targets. You want to make it to where it's just the right amount of targets and the right amount of power, like defensive targets, to where they can clear it out. And so that's like base capture. I do that on the base capture missions. You do a trigger zone around the base, and you put down like 10. So like I have it as a template. So it's like I have 2 SHORAD units, 1 radar guided, 1 IR guided, and then I have like 2 tanks, 2 BMPs, 2 technicals. And then I have my cargo vehicles that spawn in. So I have a little template called, Alpha Supply Company. And it's a cargo truck. It's 2 cargo trucks and 2 HEMT fuelers. So you put those down at the base first. You set them to immortal for a mission, not necessarily for like a dynamic server map or whatever. For a mission, you set them to immortal. You put so you go under disperse under fire. You uncheck that because you don't want them moving under fire. Because what'll happen is, like, someone slings a rocket, it lands near your cargo truck, and they move and they drive out onto the runway. And then they're in the middle of the runway, and people are hitting it. So I'll put you could save that as a template. So I'll put that down. I'll make them immortal, disperse under fire off, and I'll make them invisible too, so that red doesn't shoot at them. And then I'll do late activation. So then I put my red group down, Baxter Airfield Capture 1. And it's all units in the same group. It's like 10, 12 units. And they're in that trigger zone. Then I'll go into my triggers and actions and do all of Coalition out of zone. And I'll choose the zone, Baxter Airfield. And then I'll do group activate Alpha Supply. And then you can even get in further as like labeling the units with the base name, like Baxter Field Supply, Sinai Field Supply, Ben Gurion Field Supply. So I have like a little NSAM and Stinger and CRAM little site saved as a template. I'll put that down too and be like base Baxter Blue Air Defense, or you can even put it with your supply, right? You can do one group. So when all of the red coalition is shot up and dead, your supply truck will spawn in, it turns the base blue and captures it, and then it has air defenses there. And now guys can spawn. If you do dynamic spawn, you don't have to do slot blocker. If you say I put a group of Vipers down at my original base and I label them Viper Flight 1, and I click on enable dynamic spawn, then at my capture bases under dynamic spawn, you go in and select that flight group template. So when the base is captured, you can spawn in there dynamically and your aircraft have all the same waypoints retained, just not radio comms.
All right, so dumb question.
Yes.
For that airfield, does it start out red or does it start out blue?
So if you have red units on the airfield, it's going to be red.
Okay.
Now you can, on Mission Editor, you can make it blue to start with, and then put your red units down, and it will be red when the red units are on it. And then when you kill them all, if you kill them all and you don't put the supply truck down and have it spawn in, it'll be neutral until someone goes over there and takes supplies or lands or whatever. But you don't have to do that for missions. You can make it's a lot simpler to just do it like that if you're not building a big giant foothold,
Yeah.
So then if I place spawn slots, red and blue aircraft at that base, then you can spawn into those aircraft no matter who has the field. That's the downside. So you would have to use the slot blocker scripting to block off those sites or those slots unless you capture the airfield. But with dynamic spawn, you don't have to do that. You enable dynamic spawn, and if the red has the field, blue can't dynamic spawn in there. But if you put a blue flight down and the field is red, you can spawn in that blue flight. It won't matter. You won't be able to rearm and refuel. You're probably going to get shot on taxiing, but you can still spawn in.
It'll be a fun show.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not a bad deal. That's an easy way to make quick base capture missions. I think you've played the ones I've made before.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, next question.
And that's it for me right now.
Gunslinger, better leave me alone.
Are you doing stuff or?
I'm literally at 21,000 feet on autopilot. I'm just flying waypoints. But I'm well behind my SA. I'm well behind my SA-10 side. If you feeling froggy.
Yeah. I'm not crossing the line.
And I got 6 AMRAMs.
Well, that's what I want you to come play with.
I'm sitting behind my SA-10 sights. I'm just hanging out, flying Germany on autopilot.
That's no fun.
I know, but I can't talk and fight you at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's what I figured you had going on. I just looked online. I saw you were in here. I was like, oh, maybe he wants to play. Yeah. So, no. But when you have time, no big deal.
I'll leave you alone if you want to go do Kiowa and Warthog stuff.
I was going to jump over to the other map and see if anybody was in there. Oh, no, this is the only one we got with PvP.
Yeah.
Right? So.
I think, yeah, because the other 2, I got Afghan training and the Caucasus training map, too. Yeah, I'm just hanging out, chatting. Probably got another half hour.
Yeah. No, I looked online. I saw you were in here, and I was like, I'll jump in and see if.
Yeah, I saw you spawn in. I'm just sitting here. I'm just waiting to get a bra call as I was talking. I went and I did air-to-air refueling, and just hanging out. But I don't know where you're at. I had the bra call, but I wasn't paying attention, so I don't see you anymore. Oh no, I got you. I see you. Just gonna keep a little eye on you.
Without the 64s, I can't do much. I mean 54s. But I'm still waiting for Jester to find something, so.
Where am I at? Oh, I'm in a good location. I'm in a very good location. Oh, I see what you're doing. You're trying to fly around our air defenses.
Well, normally what I've been doing lately is I'll hang out just south of your zone and see if people will come across the line, so that way then nobody has to deal with SAMs.
Not bad. Not bad.
The line in the sand. Where's Beetle tonight? He didn't jump on?
No, I don't think so. Unless he's in the other room. Nope. I hope he wasn't down about last weekend's mission. It was a good mission.
Why? What happened?
Oh no, just little mission editor things that, just learning from experience, like little. The fobs that we had to rearm refuel at the other night, he didn't put the cargo truck down, and if you don't put the cargo and fuel truck down, they won't rearm refuel you. But it wasn't the end of the world, because all we had to do was just reslot, and we were in a Huey and a Gazelle, so it wasn't like it was in an Apache and you have to go through and set everything up. We were reslotting quickly.
All right.
But just little growing pains from mission stuff. Thinking you had stuff done, and then it was, it didn't work. And then there was one part that was hilarious. We were flying back to base, and Birds was locking me. And I had missile notification. Or no, he was locking me, and I was getting painted, and I was like, okay. And then I got missile notification. I was like, well, shit, here we go. And so I put myself on the opposite side of Beetle from the missile and the bad guy, and a little bit lower, and the missile took him out instead.
Oh, jeez.
But it was still fun. Like, I got some cool video. We were doing a raid on a compound, and I got some cool video out of it.
Nice. I did watch for a little bit. I couldn't get on, but I was watching on YouTube.
Yeah. It was fun. We still had a lot of fun.
It's all that matters.
Yeah. So, no, there's just, that's why part of the reason I made that little helicopter mission making write-up, and, it's just a learning process. Some of it's just trial and error. And I'll just try and help out as I can.
The hardest thing for me here lately has just been understanding flags and triggers and stuff like that. There's so many options.
Yes.
And it's so hard to know what works and what doesn't work together. Like I've just now being able to add in a like a radio command and understanding how to do that. That's something that I've learned over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. One channel that I used a lot when I was starting mission making was In Flight Sim, just IN Flight Sim on YouTube, and he's got some very nice, very simple tutorials that really help out. A lot of basic stuff: how to set up tankers, how to set up orbits, radio menu item adds, flags, stuff like that. You know, and I'm still learning this shit too. Like I'm getting more into the flags and stuff. So that's how I figured out how to do like the tankers with the bombers, right? So you got bomber or tanker that'll fly to a waypoint in orbit, and then tankers will join up with them. And then when you get up there with your flight, you go into your comms menu, you'll see like tanker outbound. And what you're doing is you're tossing up a flag that turns the hold condition off, and the tanker's moving out. So yeah, that stuff gets pretty intricate though. There's a lot to it, but it's pretty simple once you start doing it and do it more.
Oh shit! I just realized I've got to change all my waypoints to 0 or to ground level.
Yep. And that's what sucks is when you put 30 waypoints in, you realize, oh, I didn't set those to 0, and then you got to go back. It sucks. So like when I start a mission making process, I say I'm like Friday night's mission, I always build the helicopter stuff first, and then I move into like the siege strike stuff. I go and place all of the targets and ground units first. Then I start placing flights. This is not normal. I'm going to the tanker. It's 126. I didn't realize I'm fucking running out of fuel. I don't think I'm going to make it to the tanker.
You can do it.
Well, I thought I had more fuel than this. Do I got a fucking fuel leak? Alright, I'm officially coming off the hunt, gunslinger. I'm gonna go get some fuel.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you're still 90 miles out, so.
I say I'm pretty far.
I know why you came down. Okay.
I did not notice that.
Like a thing.
But yeah, so I do the helicopter part first.
Okay.
And then I do then I work on the strikes, the long distance strikes, the short strikes, the seed flights. Then I place all the ground units, place all of then start placing all the flights. I label the flights. I go and set up the radios. So that's one important thing too, is just going in and setting up all the radios. It saves so much trouble in mission during comms check, like from 9 to 9:15, we're all getting slotted in and checking. It saves so much trouble if you just have all of the radios the best you can set in the aircraft for the guys. Because like the Apaches, their FM radios default to 30 FM, but it's like 30.015. And so the Hueys, it defaults to 30 FM. So if you don't have to have them re-changing and tuning the radios and stuff, it just kind of seems to go a lot smoother. It's just one less thing to go wrong, like if a guy is not familiar with the radio. And we had that recently. We had a guy that didn't know how to change the radio on the aircraft he was flying, and it got to a point in mission where he had to do it, and he couldn't. and so then he's on main comms the whole time. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do in missions is split up the comms to where not everybody is on one single channel and in 3 different missions across the map. Because it's a lot, and we don't know when other people are talking on intercoms. So like, if you got 2 guys talking in flight and then someone else is coming on doing ATC over the comms, then you're gonna, you're just chatting over on top of each other. So separating comms, that's pretty important in mission making. Go in when you place the aircraft, just go ahead. And this is what I do when I place a flight down. Say I'm going to put strike flight Venom flight, and I'm going to put all the waypoints. So as I go, I have my phone out and I'm taking notes for the whole mission to make need boards as well. So I'm on my notepad. I type in Venom flight strike. Okay, UHF radio 243, and I put that on the notes. Okay, in-flight comms 127. It's in the notes. Okay, then waypoints 1 through 10, and then I label them, and then I do that for each flight, and at the end of it, I have this long list on my notepad of the entire mission mapped out with all the flights, and then I space them out between each other, screenshot them, and then I just go into a couple little apps. I edit the screenshot, I crop it on my phone, I go into the app, I add the banner or logo for the mission, and then I save it and delete the old screenshot. And then I upload them into the briefing on the mission file, and then I send them to you guys. But I do it as I go versus waiting until I get the whole mission made, and then I'm just sitting there, have to go back and look up all the waypoints. You got all kinds of shit on there. So that's something to do smart as you go. Write everything down. Take notes. Make you a mission file notepad with what triggers, like what flags did you use? Make sure that you're not reusing flags. If you do all flag 1 for this, and this, and then you put it on something else and, fucks up.
Do you copy paste the FPIN templates for like a fob or templates for certain things that you use over and over, and you just copy and paste them in mission?
Yes. So like say the Afghanistan training map that I made, right? And I have all those helicopter fobs, the small ones, say the FART. So I'll put like a couple MRAPs down. I'll put the supply trucks. I'll put the invisible FART pad. And then I'll do what I need to do, and I'll make one. And then with the new move tool, it's a lot easier. You go into the move tool, and then you copy and paste. You highlight it, and then you copy and paste. And you can paste it anywhere, and you can move it anywhere.
Can you copy and paste from one mission to another mission? Like say you have a mission and you create a bunch of fobs or FARPs and stuff that you want to use as templates,
yes.
And then you copy from there, go to the other mission, paste it in, and use it like that.
For the most part, yes. Sometimes it doesn't work. So like after certain updates it will work, and some updates it won't work. So like I go and put like I'm making an open world map, and I put all the blue flights down, and then I copy them and paste them to different airfields with no waypoints, right? Sometimes I've been able to open a new file and create a new mission and paste them, and it works for like the last 2 or 3 years. At some point in this year, I realized it didn't work, and I haven't tried it since. So theoretically, yes, but they may have made it to where it doesn't do it anymore. But yeah, so I do that. I'll make like the big fobs, I'll hand make them, and then the small ones I might hand make one, and then I copy paste. But also what you can do is if you do copy and paste them, you're copying and pasting the units, the little pad, and all the statics that are structures like walls and all that. Well, if you copy and paste it, you don't even have to keep it the same. You can mix it up. Like you can just rearrange the ones that you pasted. It doesn't have to look the same at each one of them. So yeah, theoretically, yes. Okay, I gotta try and grab some fuel. I'm at 1,100 pounds.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna go to bed, but I'll try and see you guys maybe this week or this weekend.
All right, we got OG mission on Wednesday night.
Wednesday. I
Yep.
didn't vote.
Wednesday night, Iraq map. I got naval deep strike off the carrier coming out of Iran, and you're rendezvousing with tanker and a B-52. B-52 is going to do a pre-strike and drop a shit ton of cruise missiles. Like
So this is what we did this weekend or last week?
Kinda, yes. A little bit shorter.
Okay.
And we'll be on SRS. I'm gonna make a video out of this. And then Friday night I'm using the same mission, but I'm changing up the helicopter stuff. So that's why I was thinking sometimes, like this weekend, if you fly one roll tomorrow night, say you do the deep strike tomorrow night, that'll give you opportunity on Friday night to fly a different part of the mission if you want to. So I've got Seed and Strike.
Gabby's going away to Argentina for the week, starting Thursday. So, and I have the kids. So I don't know what's happening. How busy they're gonna keep me and
give them some Benadryl and hop on.
Even melatonin works pretty well. But
it just gives me nightmares.
Really?
Yeah. So the last time I ever took melatonin, like 4 years ago, I was pulling my dog's charred bodies out of a burning building. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good.
It might not be the melatonin.
I get into gunfights. I get fucking car wrecks, and I have very vivid dreams with melatonin.
You know that the biltong I sent you? If I have too much of that because it's so salty, it kind of dehydrates you. So when you dehydrated like that and you go to sleep, you have usually like vivid dreams, crazy dreams.
No, it was definitely the melatonin. Definitely the melatonin. Like that one dream, I was pulling my dog's bodies out of the fucking front building because it burned down, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Oh, god damn it, we're turning, and I'm almost out of fuel.
All right, we'll see you later.
All right, Gadget.
All right, bye.
Oh, okay. Well, I got a little bit.
All right, so I got a quick question about like a tanker refueling for a mission.
Okay.
Where do you start the orbit, and how do you where do you tell it to stop? Does that make sense?
So with the tankers and the orbits, you know, you have circle and you have racetrack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and circle just is a single orbit around one waypoint, which is too steep most of the time for refueling, so it's just a hold waypoint. So it depends on what we're doing. Like, are they going to fly with the tanker and the tanker's going to break off at a certain point, or you want the tanker just in a position for them to be able to stop at? Two different scenarios.
Yeah, if they need to refuel, they can hit the tanker instead of landing and refueling.
Right. So, I mean, maybe no more than 100 miles away from something. So,
gotcha.
So, like, if I have a 400-mile flight, I'm going to put the tanker halfway.
Okay.
If I have a longer flight, so the long flights too, that gives you the option to where they can fly with the tanker, you know, but sometimes, you know, you have to fly a little bit slower. But yeah, so if the tanker's just static and not joining the flight, usually halfway between where they're taking off from and their AO.
Okay.
If it's going to be like a 300-mile flight or more, I'm going to let the tanker fly with them, and then I'll stop the tanker like 100 miles out and make it go into an orbit. So usually like 100 miles is usually kind of rule of thumb for me. Like if they're going to be flying away from a base to a tanker, 100 miles, depending on if there's air to air and stuff like that. So also too, you got to keep that in mind. If you do long distance deep strikes, do you really want to do air to air, where kind of like last time I sent all the guys out there and they all got slaughtered. And I'm just like, shit, you know. So if I'm gonna have air to air on a deep strike, I'm gonna have a divert base set up at least 50 to 80 miles out. So you got that'll go into your mission planning where you start trying to pick where you're gonna have stuff. If I'm doing a deep strike with no air to air, I don't care if there's a divert base. So I'll run them off into the mountains of China on the Afghanistan map where there's no bases around. And that's a good point too. So with all my missions, I'm never going to make a strike or a flight where there's no options but to air refuel. It's always going to be, so even if I make that part of the mission to where you have to air refuel, there's no diver at base, there's still other mission options to do on that mission. You know, that's why I do 3 to 4 missions in one.
Yeah.
So always have the options there. It's a little bit more work, but you know, it's there. I'm never going to make guys have to air refuel because I know how hard it is. And some guys just don't want to do it. They don't. It's Friday night.
I've been practicing, actually.
Yes. Now I'll tell guys I was the biggest one against it. I didn't care to do it, and now it's fun. So it is something you should learn, but it's never going to be required. I'm always going to have another option available for the guys. So, and then also too, some people don't realize you have to split the tankers up. You can't send boom to the MPRS. It doesn't work. All right.
Oh, you can't use the boom on the MPRS?
Nope. So if you have Hornets and Vipers, or you have Air Force and Naval flights, and they're going to air refuel, you have to have both tankers. And you can't do tanker follow another tanker, because we already learned that doesn't work, because then they bounce too much.
All right. Well, I'm just going to scrap that then.
No, it's okay. So separate your flights. Well, that's the tricky part when it comes to putting the tankers in. So and I've done it where we've had missions where we have both tankers and we're all flying together. You have to learn how to manipulate the waypoints and the altitudes and the speeds to where they stay somewhat close together. That's something you can do. That's time consuming on Mission Editor though, because you have to set them up, you have to hit play, and then you have to stop and adjust them. So that's just something to consider too. So you can do it, you just have to manipulate that stuff pretty good until you get it to where they stay somewhat close to each other.
Yeah.
The boom guys can always tank at a little bit higher speeds, a little bit higher altitude than the basket guys. But like 0.80 Mach at 27,000 feet is not bad. I prefer a little bit faster tanker than a slow tanker in the Viper. It's tough to fly slow. And then 0.80 Mach between 20 to 28,000 feet is fine. You got to take in consideration what the loadouts are. So if I put the tanker too fast and I'm full of bombs, I won't be able to catch it. But yeah, that's the good thing with like mission, like the actions and triggers start daisy chaining stuff. So like sand bushes. Sand bushes are fun. So you just do a trigger zone and, part of coalition in zone and check to make sure it's airplanes or whatever you want. And then, group activate and put a SA6 down somewhere. I like doing the ones where the seed guys fly into a zone and they're engaging, and then they have one pop up behind them for their way back.
Yeah. So what this IADS is basically, I've run it before. When you start the mission, there's like 14 or 15 SAM sites, but only 3 are active.
Yeah.
Because it's running off the early warning radars. It's taken some time to get it dialed in, and I think it's working. So I'm intrigued to see. I'm also slightly scared that it's going to be too hard for seed now, because the SAM sites will only really activate at like 60 to 70%.
Yeah.
So the kill ratio is probably going to be a whole lot higher, but it's going to be more of a challenge. But
it might end up being overly complicated and difficult to where it stalls out.
That's what I'm worried about, but also slightly intrigued by.
Yeah. It's just a process, trial and error. All you can do is try
and then
it.
I'm like, well, what happens if we get bored and like they get all the SAM sites do we need air to air now? And
So that's what you'll start learning when you make your missions. You'll see how fast people get through parts of your mission, and you'll start learning what all you need to do to kind of extend it. So for me, it's like if we got four Vipers doing seed, right? You can do 2 SAM sites that are live, and then you have 2 more SAM sites. One spawns in when one dies, and same with the other. The other one spawns in when the other one dies. And then what you can do is you put a trigger zone over, like a pretty big trigger zone, and you'll do missile in zone, and then set up a pair of red aircraft to spawn in, just 2. So like if you have 4 seed flights, don't spawn in more than 2 red bad guys, and then let them kill those. And then what you could do again is, so you say you have SAM sites 1 through 4, right? 1 and 2 are your initial live SAM sites. So what I'm going to do, say I have 2 SA6 sites. I'm going to go to the search radar, the Cub. I'm going to label it like, SAM site 1. And then you see all the units are labeled SAM site 1-1, SAM site 1-2, SAM site 1-3, right? So on the radar unit, I'm going to label it SAM site 1-2 trigger, all caps. And then on SAM site 2, same thing. I'm going to label it SAM site -2. All your units will be 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4. Same thing on the search radar. I'm going to label it, add to the title, trigger. So it'll be SAM site 22 trigger. So I do that for all 4 SAM sites. SAM sites 1 through 4, I label triggers on the radar units. And then I'll go in and you can do like SAM site, new action and triggers, SAM 1. And I'll do unit dead, unit damaged, SAM site 1-1 trigger, group activate, SAM site 3, right? And then SAM site 3, I'll do another group or another triggers and actions. I'll do, okay, unit damage, unit dead, SAM site 3 trigger, group activate, red QRF 2. So when they kill the last SAM site, it spawns in another pair of red aircraft. But I'm spacing it out to where they're not fighting 4 SAMs and 8 different fucking aircraft or 4 different aircraft. I don't want a 1-to-1 ratio of bad guys to good guys. I want like a 2-to-1 ratio. That way your guys are more likely to survive it. But you can do it in different triggers. Like you can trigger the first set of red QRF to spawn in on a harm in zone, a harm that's fired over there. Or you can spawn it in on the death of one of the SAM sites. But you live spawn the first 2 SAM sites, and then you daisy chain the second 2 SAM sites to where when one of the first one's killed, it spawns in the third. Second one's killed, it spawns in the fourth one. But yeah, you're right. If you have 15 SAM sites though, and they're all spawned in at once, you're also going to overload people's computers.
That makes sense.
Spinning searching radars are heavy. SAM sites are heavy on usage.
So, yeah, I didn't think about that. The way it's... So luckily it's not all in one area.
Yes.
It's spread out. So I'm using the Persian Gulf. And, I mean, it's spread out along the northern side of... What is this? Is this Iran?
Yeah.
I think... Yeah, it's... So you're looking at 15 SAM sites over a span of almost 500 miles. Yeah, 500 miles. So, like where we would be, which is Bandar Abbas.
Yep.
And Havadaria
or something. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that one.
That's sad. I know really exactly where you're talking about.
There's only 4 that are in the 5, 6, 7 that are in a 80-mile span.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued to see how this works, because with the IADs, they're supposed to be able to turn off their radar in case of harm launches. So we'll see.
You also have that in options from DCS too. So say you have evasion of harm missiles under advanced waypoint actions, and I think it's set options.
Oh, let's see. It's I've seen it. It's not evasion. It's there's another word. What is it?
Well, there is one that's evasion of air.
It's engage air weapons is what it is.
Okay, well, so there's another one that's called an evasion, to where that one should set them to turn on and off if they don't want to get hit, right? And that's
okay.
new. It's newer. It's a newer version of doing that.
Gotcha.
So they added that within the last year. So I think it's either under perform command or it's under set options. Yeah, at the bottom.
Yeah, I just looked. I hadn't seen it. Well, I mean, I've seen it, but nobody's really said what it was. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's a simple one you just turn on and off. Now, does it work all the time? I don't know. But, yeah.
Well, this one with the IADs, it's called Skynet. It's a script, so I'm interested to see how it'll work with a big group. But if it doesn't work, I mean, then they all go live like they normally would. So.
Oh.
How's it going?
It's going. All right, I didn't die. I filled up. I didn't die. I filled up. All right. Yeah, that's a simple. Now there's another one called Shoot and Scoot that I need to look at. But the evasion, yes, it should work. But also, too, the harms are going to go to the last known location. So if they get a harm off, they still have a high chance of hitting that SAM site, even if it does turn off. Be mad, we're just talking mission making stuff.
Oh, sorry, I missed it.
No, it's good. I'm just flying around answering questions. We're
Gunslinger out. You guys have a good one.
All right, guns.
See you, man.
Gunslinger. Well, hey, Tex, I'm probably about to jump off and go to bed, but I'll send this to you tomorrow and look at it and just see what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah, no problem.
So hopefully it's not too complicated or too easy.
It probably is. It's probably overly complicated for your first mission for us, and we're gonna let you know it'll be fine. But I mean, that's it. It's there's only so much I can talk about. You know, it's just trial and error.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the map and all of the SAM rings and everything. I'm just like, oh God, what have I created?
Yeah, I mean, it might not be bad. It's just one of those things. It might not be a small mission, so you might have to have a minimum. But yeah, so one thing, what I would suggest too, if you want to really get started and make us some missions that we can run, and that's the thing, we'll run member missions during the week to test them. And if we see, hey, you're doing good, you're making these missions, then we'll throw you in the Friday rotation and stuff, or Saturday rotation. But start small, like work on this mission, but then when you make other missions to get started, make it small. Like say, okay, I need to have a simple helicopter roll, I need to do a strike, I need to do seed, and just make small missions for like 5 or 10 people and just see how they go and just start progressing from there. Don't try and do a giant 40-person mission and, you know, then it's just straight chaos.
Yeah.
Just start small and work your way to more and more. And then if you have questions and stuff, just message me, hey, I ran into this issue, and normally if I see it, I'll reply and just tell you how to fix it or how to set it or whatever.
Yeah, I got you.
Crowbot and Beetle and them still hit me up like, hey, what about and I don't mind helping.
Yeah, we jumped on one of the missions that I built probably a couple months ago. It's like a rapid response or quick response. And it has not multiple legs, but you have multiple options of what you want to do. You can intercept, or you can do a helicopter 810. Like, so there are multiple options. So
yeah.
So that may be another one I'll send to you if I haven't already.
And that's awesome. One thing what I'll tell you though is it's so make two different things. So treat it differently. So when you make a sandbox, so there's a difference between a sandbox and a mission, right? So when you make a sandbox, you're giving guys choices of what they want to do. There's multiple things that they can do that don't affect one another. And that's great. Like casual nights or up on the servers have sandboxes. When it comes to a mission, don't give guys choices inside the mission. Like if you sign up for this is what you're doing. These are your target. Yeah. Keep those two separately. And it'll run a lot smoother.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, man, hey, I tell you what, sandboxes and open worlds are one of the funnest things for me to make. Like right now I'm on the Germany Modern Combat and it's just an open world. It's just a big sandbox. I love sandboxes. Gotcha. It's like playing City Skylines.
All right. Well, I'm gonna jump off, but I appreciate the info tonight, and I'll shoot you this an email, or I'll shoot you this file tomorrow.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Later.
Yep.
Come on, refuel the airplane. I'm grading you.
I already did. I actually did it in a turn while talking, minus a few disconnects.
On the 16?
Yeah.
There you go.
And I'm loaded out too. I got 6 AMRAMs.
Now shoot the tanker.
No. I shoot the tanker and then someone will pop in here and try and smoke me as I'm running back to base to get missiles. Snapshot, I got a couple of stashes on the Germany Modern Combat. You just use the good old password. I did not put Hornets on the red side. I don't think I put C-15s either, so
I'm nowhere close to home right now.
sounds like it. I heard you might get to hang out with Hawkeye next weekend or this weekend.
If I make it back in time.
Yeah. Now you're making me nervous. I can't fucking tank.
We're in Iuka, Mississippi. So we'll probably be down here till Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah. What are y'all doing down there?
Catching fish.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, I'm hooked up.
So yeah, Tex, I want to talk to you. I got basically 2 missions. One is a small mission, right? Pretty much ready to go.
Yeah.
And it's for like I'm gonna say 4 to 8 guys. And it's a small little seed mission. And it's interesting that they were talking about IADs earlier. So it's a still seed mission with IADs and a little strike.
Copy.
And it's just for kind of for people to get used to the how it works. Have you looked into it at all? Skynet IADs?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
So I was dabbling in it a bit earlier, and there's a whole bunch of options and a little mission around an SA6 kind of battery / strike, and I did SA6 because it's a little bit more shorter range, and it's a couple of cool little features you can put. Some of the options like the SA6 will detect a harm and just shut off, and so. I ran it with a couple other guys, and it's pretty cool because you have to work in kind of pairs or trios to see where the launch is at, and then kind of bomb the launcher, and then the launchers and the radars aren't close to each other, so it's a little kind of tricky that way. So it's really cool and interesting when you got a couple of guys playing and flying, and they work together and stuff like that. Yeah. And then I got another one that's a little bigger. It also incorporates IADs, but it's probably for about 20 guys. But that one needs a little bit more work.
I've got tomorrow night's OG one wrapped up for the most part, and then I started on Friday nights, which is essentially I'm leaving. I just took tomorrow night's mission. I stripped all the helicopter stuff off of it, and I'm redoing the helicopter stuff. So it'll be the deep strikes will be the same on Friday night, but it's going to be open to the public.
Okay.
But
Yeah, we can talk about it. Maybe run it sometime next week.
yeah, I mean,
don't
I'm down for next week. So we've got this week covered, and then we need a weeknight mission for next week, and we need a Saturday night OG mission for next Saturday. So if you want to work on it for one of those nights, we can probably do it one of those nights too.
Okay, so I'll just polish up the small little mission, and then we'll do the OG whatever weekday.
Yeah.
And just test that out, see how it goes, and then
and what map?
And then I'll keep working on the big one because it needs a little bit more work.
What map is the small one
on? Small one's on Caucasus.
So on Sunday, if you can, remind me, hey, I've got the OG mission, and we'll try and schedule it for Wednesday next week, and I'll put it on the schedule. I got to remember the map. But just try and remind me, because I promise you I'll forget on accident by Sunday.
Yeah, no, it's all good. All good.
And then, we'll run it next Sunday.
I'll talk to you on the weekend. I got to go here, but I'll keep in touch.
No problem.
And I'll send you the file of the small one, at least when I got it finalized.
Sounds good.
All right. See you guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, bye.
Let's see. How's it going? Sorry, guys, I haven't been checking the comments. I'm gonna take off from Bagram and go drop a couple bombs at the range. Background traffic, Venom 1, taxiing up to 03 right. No, Pimax Crystal, or Crystal Original. Yeah, I mean, I've got Discord open, I've got OBS running, and I'm streaming from OBS. I just don't put my, like, stream chats and stuff in my view. Most of the time when we fly a mission, I'm not looking at my stream. Background traffic, Venom 1-1, taking active runway 03, right?
Mexico 111. Request rejoin. Return pre-contact. Ready, pre-contact. Cleared contact.
traffic, Venom flight inbound. Canard traffic, Venom 1 entering SUCOM arrival into the overhead brake for runway 23. Kandahar traffic, Venom 11, inbound 30 miles, overhead brake, runway 23. Kandahar traffic, Venom 1-1, 10 miles.
Altitude. 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 Altitude.
Kandahar traffic, Venom 1-1, left base for final, runway 23. Kandahar traffic, Venom 1-1, final approach, runway 23. 10-hour traffic, 111, clear the active. Oh, that's gonna do it for tonight. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll be streaming a live group mission Wednesday night around 9 o'clock. See you guys then.